Part 11. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 101. After entering the river, Wang Feng dived down with all his strength. Although Tiankai was not in his body, he was still connected to Tiankai. Wang Feng could clearly feel the location of Tiankai. After diving for about 5 minutes, Wang Feng felt something was wrong. At his own speed, he had already dived for 5 minutes, and the depth had exceeded 150 meters. How could this Black Dragon River be so deep? It was not until the depth of nearly 200 meters that Wang Feng saw the corpse of the giant turtle. At this time, the giant turtle had completely lost its breath of life, and there was still a black hole in its right eye that had not been fully repaired. Wang Feng had just landed on the turtle's back when Tiankai automatically returned to his body. At the same time, Tiankai's voice sounded, "Life energy absorption is complete, successfully advanced to the second stage, and obtained." No. Wait a minute. Without waiting for Tiankai to finish, Wang Feng interrupted him, "Advanced to the second stage? Who?" "Me." Tiankai's answer was very simple and clear. "Didn't you say that if you want to advance to the second level, I need to become a second level evolver, and then I need 20,000 energy points? The energy points must be no problem. I don't feel that I have made any breakthroughs." Wang Feng recalled the advancement conditions that Tiankai told him before, and said with some doubts, "That's right. You haven't changed. Originally, my advancement did require the support of Tiankai Hunter, that is, your own level, but because I absorbed a lot of life essence, which is a very high-level biological energy, it directly broke through my confinement and allowed me to advance to the second level," Tiankai explained. Even if he advanced to the second level, Tiankai's voice still had no tone and emotion. "Forget it. Let's wait and see." Wang Feng looked down at the turtle's body and prepared to return to the surface of the water. "Wait. I detected that there seems to be a very strong energy below, but the distance seems to be very far." Tiankai's voice sounded again. "Energy? Far below? Isn't this the bottom?" Wang Feng looked around himself, then looked at the turtle, and suddenly thought of something, so he came to the turtle again and looked around carefully. Sure enough, there was a cave under the turtle's body, but when the turtle fell, it just covered the entrance of the cave, and only slightly exposed the left side of its body. If Wang Feng hadn't observed carefully, he would have almost missed it. "What is this place?" Wang Feng thought to himself, and then pushed the turtle's body to the side. Fortunately, it was in the water, and Wang Feng could push the turtle a little with all his strength. After the entrance of the cave was exposed for about half a foot, Wang Feng stopped, and then took out a strong light flashlight to shine downwards. Unexpectedly, the strong light flashlight with a range of 200 meters could not reach the end at all. Wang Feng turned off the flashlight, and then ran to the other side to push the turtle's body back again, until the entire cave was completely covered, and then Wang Feng left here directly. Seeing that the flashlight didn't reach the end, Wang Feng knew that this place was definitely not a place he could enter now. Although his body could withstand the water pressure in the deep water, there was no oxygen cylinder in his apocalypse space, so breathing was a problem. He would wait until he came back to salvage the body of the turtle. Moreover, now that apocalypse was advanced, and he had just absorbed the life energy of the turtle, he had to strengthen himself first. At least apocalypse could synthesize the second-level strengthening potion. After returning to the surface, Wang Feng found that the guys were quite obedient and all ran back to the car. Only Qiu Jian was standing by the rope on the bridge waiting. Reaching out to grab the rope, Wang Feng came to the bridge after a few ups and downs, nodded to Qiu Jian, and then walked towards the convoy. Qiu Jian quickly put away the rope, and then ran a few steps to catch up with Wang Feng. After returning to the car, Wang Feng saw the iron pillar placed on the front seat at a glance. This guy was still in a coma, and icicles had condensed on his body, and the whole person was almost completely covered with a layer of white. Wang Feng frowned, came to Taizu, stretched out his right hand and directly pressed it against Taizu's chest. A magical thing happened. After Wang Feng's palm pressed against Taizu's chest, the white frost covering Taizu's body quickly gathered on Taizu's chest as if attracted by something, and then was sucked into Wang Feng's palm. This almost miraculous method shocked the people in the first car. All pairs of admiring eyes were focused on Wang Feng. They had already seen how powerful Wang Feng was in battle. The commotion in the water just now had already made them astonished. Wang Feng. I didn't expect that my boss was so awesome even as a doctor. It seems that I will not lack treatment if I follow him in the future. Even the three little guys, Shalumi, who had been very silent and expressionless, looked at Wang Feng with eyes full of stars. Among all the people, these three had the strongest confidence in Wang Feng, and they always followed Wang Feng's orders as they had promised him at the beginning, unconditionally. Wang Feng retracted his palm, then probed Taizu's neck and found that although Taizu's pulse was very weak, there was no danger, he just needed to rest. After Taizu was shot by the water arrow, the life energy contained in the water arrow covered Taizu's body, freezing him and gradually eroding his body. If this life energy could not be driven away, Taizu would be frozen to death without knowing it. This is because the turtle is restricted by a strange energy. Otherwise, with the power of its fifth-level creature, Taizu would be frozen into broken ice the moment he was hit by the arrow. If you put some raisins, strawberry jam, etc., you can sell them for money, and you can still survive. Wang Feng naturally asked Tiankai to absorb all the life energy left by the turtle in Taizu just now. After advancing to the second level, Tiankai can absorb the life energy directly through Wang Feng's body. It no longer has to be absorbed by Tiankai like before. Only by contact. After feeling that Taizu was okay, Wang Feng leaned over and picked up Taizu, then walked to the last row of the bus, put Taizu up so that he could lie down more comfortably, and then called two people to take care of Taizu. Then Wang Feng came to the front of the car again, first signaled Qiu Jian to start the vehicle, and headed towards the Green Island camp, then turned around and looked at the people in the car. "You're doing a great job," Wang Feng first smiled and nodded at Xiaomi San Xiao, expressing his approval. A look of surprise flashed across the three Xiaomi San's faces, and then they all regained their composure. "And you?" Wang Feng's expression turned serious and he looked at the other people in the car. "Humph. Have you all obeyed my orders?" Everyone in the car except for Xiaomi San Xiao was completely silent. They all lowered their heads and did not dare to look at Wang Feng. "I know. You care about me and don't want me to be in danger. I also know that when I am really in danger, each of you can use your body to cover me like an iron pillar. Use your lives to protect me." Wang Feng's words made these warriors who had lowered their heads and said nothing suddenly look up and stared at Wang Feng with red eyes, because Wang Feng's words let them know that they had gained Wang Feng's recognition and trust. "From this point of view, you are all right. We are the Guardian Legion. If we don't even protect our own brothers, how can we protect others? However, since we are a legion, we are first and foremost a soldier. What soldiers need is to obey orders, not act on impulse. Did you all obey my orders just now? No matter what the reason is, as soldiers, you disobey orders. This is your mistake. There is no reason. If anyone dares to disobey orders again, I will kick him out of the Legion. I'll emphasize it one last time. From now on, you must obey orders unconditionally. As long as he is your superior, his orders are everything. Can you do it?" As soon as Wang Feng finished speaking, everyone in the car stood up and stood at attention, shouting neatly, "Yes." "No," a weak voice sounded, and everyone quickly looked at the back of the car. The voice came from the iron pillar lying there, but now he had struggled to sit up. Wang Feng was stunned and looked at Taizu. He found that although Taizu was a little depressed now, the look in his eyes was extremely determined. Brother Feng, Taizu tried to stand up, but found that his physical strength was not enough for him to complete this action, so he had to give up. I am a rural person and I don't understand any big principles. I have figured out what just happened. I was impulsive. When I blocked you, I found that you were gone. That means even if I don't go up, the arrow can't do anything to you, Brother Feng. And if I don't go up, you don't have to save me, and there's no need to throw it away. In the water, I am stupid, but I am not stupid, I can see all this. But if the thing happens again, I will still do this, that is, I will pounce to stop you. Brother Feng, it is none of your business what you think, but that's what I think. Ever since I met you, I have been pulled by you. If it weren't for Brother Feng, I would have been reincarnated long ago. Even becoming the strengthener now is all thanks to you, Brother Feng. I didn't say anything about this, but I remember it all. I'm not willing to give in. You've always been the one to help me. I've never been able to help you. At most, I just helped Brother Feng, but that's what I should have done in the first place. It's not a way to repay you. So I feel that I owe you too much, and I feel uncomfortable. But there's nothing I can do. Brother Feng, you are so capable, but I can't help you at all. Every time I fight with you, needless to say, I protect you. Once you rush out, I can't catch you even if you run away. It's too fast, but I can't keep doing this, right? So I just keep waiting for an opportunity to help you. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 102. Taizu said this, looked down at the ornament on his chest, then looked up at Wang Feng and said, "My father told me that people can't always accept help from others without thinking about giving back, because in this way, he will gradually get used to accepting help from others, lose his gratitude, and feel that it is natural, thinking that others should help him, and not ask for anything in return. Although I don't quite understand what gratitude means, but I know that a favor must be repaid. I think the meaning of these two should be similar, so Brother Feng, if there is any dangerous thing in the future, you let me leave, don't say kick me out of the Legion, even if you kill me, I won't leave." After saying this, Taizu twisted his head, stared at Wang Feng with his eyes, and looked dissatisfied. "Ha ha ha," Wang Feng laughed, "okay. Taizu, answer me a question first. If your answer makes sense, I will allow you to disobey my order once in the future." "Ah." Just once, Taizu was a little disappointed, but when he saw Wang Feng glaring at him, he shrank his head and asked in a low voice, "What's the question?" "You just said that you knew that even if you didn't come up to help me block it, I wouldn't be hurt by the arrow, but if you did it again, you would still do it. Why? You already knew that I wouldn't be hit by the arrow, so why did you rush up to block the arrow?" Wang Feng looked at Taizu and asked. Taizu was stunned after hearing it, and then immediately answered, "Because I didn't know it until I rushed up. If it happened again, wouldn't I not know it before? Of course I would help Brother Feng block it." Ha ha ha, everyone in the car was amused by Taizu's expression and answer, and even Wang Feng couldn't help laughing. "Okay. I think you answered correctly, but Taizu, let me tell you, you can repay me, but your method and thinking are a bit wrong." "Silk Road? Where?" Taizu was stunned. "Forget it. I'd better be more direct." Wang Feng shook his head helplessly. "Taizu, remember, you can repay me in many ways, it doesn't mean that you can repay me by dying for me in battle. Think about it, if I can't save you today, can you still help me in the future?" Wang Feng put away his smile and asked seriously. Taizu looked at Wang Feng blankly and shook his head slowly, "No. That's right. There are many ways for you to repay me. Our base is under construction now. You are helping me by doing things in the base. Even if you want to repay me in the most direct way in battle, you need to grow up as soon as possible. At least you should be able to catch up with me after I rush out, right? So you, and all of you, if you want to help me, you must grow up as quickly as possible. The stronger you become, the more help you can give me. If you are strong enough, I don't need to do anything today, you can kill the turtle, and that will make me happiest. Okay. Brother Feng. I know Taizu nodded vigorously, and the other soldiers in the car, including Sang Xiao, nodded vigorously at the same time. By the way, Brother Feng, what is the turtle you are talking about? Where is it? Taizu couldn't help asking again after nodding. Wang Feng shook his head helplessly. The one who shot those water arrows was a turtle, a relatively powerful mutant beast. In the future, our enemies will not only be zombies, but also mutant beasts evolved from various animals, and these mutant beasts are even more terrifying than zombies. Hearing Wang Feng's words, the soldiers in the car looked at each other in surprise. It turned out that a turtle made such a big noise in the river. How big a turtle would it be? Okay. Sit down and conserve your energy. Although there are no large groups of zombies along the way, you should be alert. Accidents may happen at any time in this world. Everyone should be ready for battle at any time. Wang Feng waved his hand, indicating the end of this conversation. Yes, all the soldiers agreed together, and then sat down, looking around and began to discuss Wang Feng's battle just now in a low voice. Wang Feng also sat in the position where Taizu had just sat, closed his eyes gently, and began to communicate with Tiankai. After Tiankai advanced to the second level, he had not had time to carefully ask about his gains. Now that he finally calmed down, he could take stock of his gains. With excitement, Wang Feng began to communicate with Tiankai in his heart. Tiankai, tell me first, what changes have you made after you evolved to the second level, and pick out the important ones first. Okay. The first is that I can synthesize the second level evolution potion, which means that you can become a second level evolver. If I add some life essence of the fifth level creatures when synthesizing, it will be much easier for you to advance to the fifth level creature in the future. The first item that Tiankai said was actually known to Wang Feng a long time ago, because Tiankai had told Wang Feng before that if he did not reach the second level, he would not be able to synthesize the second level evolution potion, and if he wanted to advance to the second level, Wang Feng needed to become a second level evolver. This condition once made Wang Feng very depressed. Is this a conflict? If I become a level 2 creature, why would I need Tiankai to synthesize a level 2 evolution potion for me? Huh? That's not right. What do you mean I will have a higher chance of becoming a level 5 creature in the future? Isn't it that if you synthesize a level 5 evolution potion for me, I can become a level 5 creature? Wang Feng suddenly felt something was wrong and asked Tiankai quickly. Tiankai's answer came quickly, of course not, and the 5th level evolver is not a 5th level creature. The level of a creature is related to the creature's own life energy. Only when the creature's own life energy reaches a certain level will it be considered to be of the corresponding level. Especially for 5th level creatures. Generally speaking, there is no problem for you to reach 4th level creatures. The medicine I synthesized is enough to support you to eventually become a 4th level creature. But to reach 5th level creatures, you can only rely on yourself. I will give you your support is limited. It is a qualitative change from a 4th level creature to a 5th level creature. The most important thing is the origin of life. Although any living thing contains the origin of life, creatures that do not reach the 5th level cannot feel the existence of the origin of life, let alone call it the origin of life. Only after reaching the 5th level, a living body can feel its own life source and can call upon the life source. After the death of a creature below the 4th level, its life source will dissipate. This is why I have never absorbed the life source before. The original reason. It's a pity that this 5th level creature used too much life source to prevent you from killing it. In the end, I only absorbed 1/10 of it. However, even if it is only 1%, it is enough to exceed what you have now. The origin of life, and this origin of life is a mature origin of life, and you can easily feel it when you become stronger. This is why I say that the possibility of you becoming a level 5 creature in the future has greatly increased. And when I integrate these life sources into your body, your life sources will not disappear even if you die. Does that mean I can be resurrected after death? Wang Feng asked in surprise. No, Tian Kai answered directly. Shit. What's the use of staying if you can't be resurrected? Wang Fengda was angry. I can still absorb it back. If someone recognizes Tian Kai again, I can use this life source for him. Tian Kai's answer made Wang Feng burst into tears instantly. Damn it! Are we going to change the protagonist? Wang Feng looked up to the sky and sighed, and then quickly changed the subject. Okay. Let's stop this and talk about the next benefit. Also, Apocalypse's space has been expanded, and some particularly weak creatures can be included in it. Apocalypse said the second benefit of his advancement. Creature? Weak. How weak is it? Wang Feng asked cautiously after learning the previous lesson. Well, according to the biological standards of this world, only plants, and some small plants, are acceptable. Fortunately, he was mentally prepared, so Wang Feng was not too disappointed. But when Wang Feng probed his consciousness into the apocalypse space, he couldn't help but be shocked. When Tian Kai first obtained Tian Kai, he only had a space of 1 cubic meter, that is, each side was only 1 meter. However, after Tian Kai advanced to the second level, each side of Tian Kai's space actually expanded 10 times, reaching 1000 cubic meters. I'll go. You can have this. I guess after it's all filled up, if I just live by myself in this apocalypse, I won't have to worry about it for the rest of my life. Wang Feng stared at his space blankly. It was almost full, but now it only seemed to be empty. A small pile of arrows and debris muttered. After staying for a full 5 minutes, Wang Feng came back to his senses. The expansion of space has a role for Wang Feng. Because there is no passage of time in the apocalypse space, the food will not spoil at all if it is put in. If so, some meat can be stored in your own apocalypse space. It's just that in addition to the height, the length and width of the turtle just now exceeded 10 meters. Otherwise, Wang Feng would even want to run back and put the turtle into the apocalypse space now. Is there anything else? Wang Feng continued to ask. He felt that Tian Kai's advancement should not only bring these two benefits to him. Well, of course, there is also my detection ability. I can now detect the life energy within 50 meters around you. I mean life above the enhanced zombies. The life energy of ordinary zombies is too weak and needs to enter the second level. I can only detect it within a range of 10 meters. And the more powerful the life energy, the farther away I can detect it. For example, the life energy under the hole at the bottom of the river just now was very powerful. Although I only slightly felt the existence of that life energy, it's certain that the strength of that life form is definitely greater than the one I absorbed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 103. His Wang Feng took a breath of cold air when he heard it, thinking that it was a good thing that I didn't act impulsively and ran down to see it directly, otherwise I would definitely not be able to come back. Now Wang Feng even wondered whether he should salvage the turtle's body when he came back. If they lured out the thing inside when they were salvaging, they would probably be wiped out. He shook his head and threw away this idea. Anyway, he didn't salvage it now, so he would wait until he came back. Anything else? Keep going, Wang Feng asked with hope. In fact, Tian Kai had already given him a lot of surprises. Not to mention the expansion of space, it would be a weapon for searching for supplies in the future. The second level evolution potion could quickly improve the strength of the base, but Wang Feng knew that there was more, because after absorbing the turtle, the energy points must be instantly full. Also, I have activated the second form, the Bow of Tiankai. You can switch it at any time in the future during the battle, Tiankai said, and immediately transmitted the image of a weapon to Wang Feng's mind. It was a domineering longbow. Although it was a little shorter than the longbow Wang Feng was using now, only about 1.2 meters long, it looked much heavier and also looked very ferocious. The appearance of this bow looked a bit like a bat. It was dark red with many black stripes on it. The middle handle had a slight arc. There were several spikes of different lengths on both sides of the bow. At 1/3 of the end of the bow, it turned into a sharp blade. The bowstring was very thin and almost transparent. It was connected to the top of the blades on both sides. It was a human weapon that could be used for both long-range and close combat. Although the image of this bow appeared directly in Wang Feng's mind, Wang Feng still stared straight at it. He was best at bows and arrows, so when he saw this bow for the first time, Wang Feng decided to use the second form of Tiankai in the future. Of course, Wang Feng's decision was not because the bow looked cool, but because, well, actually, it's okay to be cool. You can't just not use this bow just because it looks good, right? The most important thing about a weapon is that it should be practical, not the shape. You have to use it no matter what it looks like. Well, that's it. If there weren't so many people on the bus and he was afraid of scaring them, Wang Feng couldn't help laughing out loud. Apocalypse's second form came too well. He just felt that the pulling force of the previous bow couldn't keep up with his growth. But think about it, it's right. Apocalypse said at the beginning that he was an apocalypse hunter. Those who hold a dagger all day are thieves, okay. Now I have this bow, and then I can take the little kitten back. Wahahaha. Whoever says I'm not a hunter, I'll be angry with him. Wang Feng was so proud of what he thought in his heart that he smiled widely. He even forgot to ask Tiankai about what he had gained after absorbing the turtle this time. It was not until Wang Feng suddenly found that the three little people sitting beside him were looking at him strangely that he reacted and subconsciously wiped his saliva clean. Then he sat upright and looked forward, as if nothing had happened. Tiankai, is there anything else? Wang Feng asked awkwardly. Although he knew that Tiankai should not have human emotions, Wang Feng still felt a little embarrassed. The last item, which is also my biggest change, is... Damn. Wait. Didn't I just tell you to start from the most important thing? Wang Feng was furious. The biggest is the most important, Tiankai actually asked Wang Feng back. It should be. Wang Feng thought about it carefully. It seemed to be right, right? Just as he was about to continue answering, he suddenly felt that something was wrong with his little Wang Feng. Because when he just got the revelation, he had shaved all the hair on his body. After a few days, his hair has grown a little, and little Wang Feng's hair has naturally grown a little. But the most awkward thing is this little bit. People who have never shaved will never know how important it is to have natural and smooth hair. Because Wang Feng adjusted his sitting position just now, little Wang Feng is a little uncomfortable when in contact with his hair, so he protested. After quietly adjusting his position with his hands, Wang Feng finally decided not to argue with Tiankai anymore, and said frustratedly, "Okay. You win. Please continue. Now I have entered the second stage, which means you have passed the test, and the Tiankai points are officially opened." Tiankai continued, "Tiankai points. You can understand it as the energy points before, that is, life energy. Now consuming Tiankai points can still heal your injuries, and when you merge with the origin of life, my healing effect on you will be even better, including limb mutilation, which means you have the advantages of a level 5 creature in advance. When absorbing life energy in the future, if the object of absorption has special attributes, I can also absorb that special attribute together, and separate it from the life energy, and add it when synthesizing the evolution potion, which can transfer the special attribute to the user. Because I am now truly combined with you, any attack containing life energy will be completely ineffective against you in the future. That is to say, if you fight with that turtle now, its water arrow attack will not hurt you at all, but will provide you with Tiankai points. Tiankai's words Real Union made Wang Feng shiver involuntarily and get goosebumps all over his body, but he couldn't correct Tiankai, so Tiankai said another sentence, "We are truly united now." Wang Feng probably had the intention of committing suicide. But it sounds like it's not much different from before. Isn't it just a different name? However, compared with energy points, it is true that apocalypse points are easier to remember. At least there is no need to always distinguish between energy points and energy points. Sweat, Lao Huan is really embarrassed that he can't remember to turn to the front to find it. So how many apocalypse points are there now? Wang Feng quickly asked the question he was most concerned about. 18,456 points. Tiankai reported an accurate number. What? Wang Feng became anxious upon hearing this. He shouted directly without communicating with his mind, and his body jumped subconsciously. Wang Feng's actions shocked everyone in the car. They all looked around outside the car, thinking that Wang Feng had discovered something. Qiu Jian also quickly braked and stopped the car on the road. Only then did Wang Feng react. He actually shouted it directly. Seeing Qiu Jian looking at him with questioning eyes, Wang Feng couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. He couldn't say that he had a nightmare, right? After all, you are their leader, so there is nothing you can do to lose this face, right? Open the door. I seem to have discovered something. Wang Feng waved his hand to Qiu Jian with a serious face and said. After Qiu Jian opened the door, Wang Feng left a message, "You guys are on standby in the car." Then he quickly got out of the car, jumped on the roof of the car, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and then opened Tiankai and looked around. Thought secretly. Oh my god. Send some zombies, even a few little zombies. At least my face is saved. Wang Feng secretly prayed, and thought that Duan Lei had faith. Yes, I even temporarily changed my self-identity to be a lot more modest. Perhaps Wang Feng's modesty played a role. After looking around, Wang Feng really made a discovery. However, when he made the discovery, his eyes instantly turned cold and he immediately jumped out of the bus. Then he rushed out to the right, shouting, "Follow me. Apocalypse. Replenish my physical strength, as fast as possible," Wang Feng said to Tiankai in his heart. Because of fighting the turtle, Wang Feng consumed a lot of physical strength, especially when he activated the blast. And after the battle, because there was no emergency, Wang Feng did not let Apocalypse consume energy points to replenish his physical strength. But what Wang Feng saw now made him want to get there as soon as possible and even get back to the car. It was too late for Qiu Jian to drive immediately, so he asked Tiankai to replenish his physical strength. As Wang Feng's special ability, the blast requires at least 80% physical strength when activated. Another restriction is that the interval between two activations cannot be less than 1 hour. It has been a long time since Wang Feng killed the turtle. And even walked more than half of the distance, so all Wang Feng lacks now is physical strength. Apocalypse did not reject Wang Feng, and directly consumed Apocalypse points to replenish Wang Feng's physical strength to its peak state. As soon as Wang Feng felt that his physical strength had recovered, he immediately activated the blast, and his body rushed towards his target like a bolt of lightning. What Wang Feng found was a group of people fighting zombies. To be precise, it was a person fighting a group of zombies. About 50 meters away from the place where they were fighting, there were a dozen people wearing different clothes. They just stood there, laughing at the mighty man who was fighting alone among the zombies, pointing and looking very happy. Although this man is a first-level enhancer, and the people surrounding him are just ordinary zombies, the number of more than 30 is still a bit too much for him, and he is now surrounded by zombies, and there is no way to dodge. Room. There were 8 or 9 zombie corpses lying on the ground, and one of them was an enhanced zombie. They should have all died under this strong man's sword. For a first-level enhancer to fight against more than 40 zombies, including one enhanced zombie, he can still achieve such a record, which should be considered quite powerful, but this does not mean that he can stay alive. Because this strong man has very little physical strength left at this time, he swings the big knife in his hand very slowly, relying more on his body to knock away the zombies trying to bite him, because this saves more energy, but if there is no accident, if that happens, it will only be a matter of time before the zombies tear him apart. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 104. At this time, Wang Feng had already increased his speed to the limit. His face was ferocious, his eyes were bloodshot, and he tried hard to squeeze out every bit of his potential, just to make himself run faster. Because he knew the man who was in a desperate situation, it was Zhao Taihan from the Green Island camp. As for the people watching the excitement next to him, Wang Feng ignored them after recognizing Zhao Taihan. In Wang Feng's heart, those people were already dead. While running, Wang Feng calculated the distance between himself and Zhao Taihan. When he was just within the range, Wang Feng exerted force with his legs, jumped into the air, and took out the longbow he had used before. Wang Feng did not dare to use the second form of Apocalypse, because he had never used it before. Now he would never allow himself to miss until this time. Wang Feng secretly hated in his heart, why didn't he adapt to the second form of Apocalypse when he was in the car before? Even if he didn't shoot arrows, it would be good to just test the pulling force of Apocalypse. Apocalypse's second form would definitely have a longer range than his longbow, so he could support Zhao Taihan earlier. Unfortunately, it was too late to say anything now. The moment the longbow appeared in Wang Feng's hand, Wang Feng's right hand flashed quickly, and a rain of arrows flew towards the zombies surrounding Zhao Taihan. After shooting the rain of arrows, Wang Feng put away the longbow, rolled on the ground, and continued to run forward, but his speed was much slower than before because he had cancelled the effect of the gale. The duration of the gale is 1 minute, but Wang Feng had already tried his best when running just now, and with the rain of arrows shot by jumping into the air, he had instantly consumed most of the physical strength that had just been replenished by Apocalypse. If the state of the gale is not cancelled at this time, even if he can run to Zhao Taihan, he will lose his combat ability. This is because when Tiankai replenished Wang Feng's physical strength just now, he used the recovery of physical strength instead of the recovery of physical strength. The speed of recovery is very slow, but it can be sustained. The recovery of physical strength is very fast, and Wang Feng's physical strength can be fully restored in a few breaths. However, this recovery of physical strength cannot be used continuously, at least there is no way to use it again today. Not only physical strength, but also the recovery of injuries is the same. The slow one is strong and continuous, and the fast one is only once. This is also a restriction of the rules of heaven and earth on Tiankai. Otherwise, if he can use instant recovery continuously, Wang Feng will really be invincible in this world, at least there will be no opponent in the same level. Zhao Taihan, who was surrounded by zombies, already felt that he was about to collapse. He knew that today might be his last day in this world. Death was not terrible for him. Since entering this apocalypse, he has never been nostalgic for this world. It's just that he was unwilling to die like this, because he was assassinated by someone, and these people will go to the Green Island camp after his death, bringing greater crisis there. But what can he do if he is unwilling? I am exhausted and may fall down at any time, and Green Island camp, Chen Tianhao, Lu Wanting, and, that lovely lunatic, you, take care. Because of the intense consumption of physical strength, Zhao Taihan was already somewhat fuzzy at this time. Just when those onlookers thought he was about to fall down, Zhao Taihan suddenly dropped the big knife in his hand and pulled out a pistol from his waist. "Brother Crazy, when you come back, avenge us." Ignoring the zombies that pounced on him, Zhao Taihan raised the pistol and put it on his chin. In the last moment of his life, he was not thinking about the comrades in the Green Island camp who had been with him day and night, but Wang Feng. Maybe in his consciousness, after his death, the Green Island camp would probably be in danger, right? Puff 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 puff. At this moment, a series of dense sounds of sharp weapons piercing flesh sounded continuously, and a black blood mist rose around Zhao Taihan in an instant. Almost in a breath of time, all the zombies surrounding Zhao Taihan were blown into pieces by a rain of arrows. This is the real reason why Wang Feng had to cancel the gust of wind. In fact, the number of arrows in this wave did not exceed 50, far from Wang Feng's limit, but because he saw that Zhao Taihan was already at the end of his strength, even if there was one zombie left, it might become the cause of his death. So at the moment of flying into the air, Wang Feng used the sky eye to calculate the wind direction, distance, arrow arrival time, and the movement trajectory of Zhao Taihan and the zombies during this period of time at the fastest speed, and then shot his arrows. There were still 32 zombies surrounding Zhao Taihan. Wang Feng was actually confident that he could solve the problem with 32 arrows, but because Zhao Taihan was among the zombies, Wang Feng did not allow himself to make any mistakes, so he shot 49 arrows in one breath. This is the maximum number that Wang Feng can reach while maintaining a certain combat power after reaching Zhao Taihan. The result did not disappoint Wang Feng. When the blood mist gradually dissipated, all the zombies surrounding Zhao Taihan had been killed by Wang Feng's rain of arrows again, while Zhao Taihan, who was in the center of the zombies, was not hit by any arrows. Wang Feng's outburst consumed 80% of his physical strength again, but he undoubtedly completed the most perfect attack in his life so far. The careful calculation and precise attack, a series of complex movements were perfectly completed at the moment of leaping into the air. Wang Feng himself was sure that if the zombies surrounded a person he didn't know, he might not be able to do it so perfectly, because the power he just burst out was the power of protection. People often say that when a person can burst out the most powerful power, it is when he is fighting desperately. In fact, this is completely wrong. The most powerful power in the world is the power of protection. Because when you go to protect a goal that is worth your protection, you will burst out with a power that even you can't believe. Fighting desperately, thinking that the worst thing in your heart is death, while guarding is a goal that must be achieved even if you die. The difference between the two is obvious. The blood mist dissipated, Zhao Taihan slowly put down his gun, and looked at the zombies lying around in a daze. When he saw the feather arrows stuck in the zombies, his eyes suddenly burst into ecstasy. Ha 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 ha. Crazy. You are back. Green Island is saved. Zhao Taihan laughed wildly, and his already shaky body suddenly stood up, and a force miraculously reborn in his body. This was not because Wang Feng was helping him recover his strength, but because he suddenly had a desire to survive, not for his own life, but for the crisis that Green Island was about to face. Even if he died, he had to wait for Wang Feng's arrival, because Wang Feng could save the Green Island camp he had been guarding. Iron Man. I'm back. Wang Feng appeared in front of Zhao Taihan and held him up with his hand. How is it? Can you still hold on? Haha. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to hold on. Zhao Taihan laughed, then pointed at the people standing over there, with hatred in his eyes. These bastards are from Qiu Jian's camp, and they came to our camp not long after you left. The people in the distance had not yet recovered from their shock. When they saw Zhao Tianhan taking out a pistol and preparing to commit suicide, they all felt that they had completed their mission and were about to leave while the zombies were fighting for Zhao Taihan's body. They were all ordinary people, without a single enhancer, so they naturally didn't plan to fight with so many zombies, but things suddenly took a turn. A rain of arrows fell from the sky, and then the zombies and Zhao Taihan were shrouded in blood mist, and they couldn't see anything clearly. This sudden change also shocked them. No one thought about finding where this inexplicable rain of arrows came from. It was not until the blood mist dissipated that they saw that more than 30 zombies were wiped out, and the guy they wanted to kill this time was still standing there. Then a person who knew the target of the mission appeared, which means, the rain of arrows just now was shot by this guy. Some smart people looked around and found that there was a group of people running towards the side in the distance. Needless to say, they must be their group. There are not so many people in their own camp added together. Zhao Taihan pointed at them and just said a word. These people shouted, turned around and ran. Now they don't think about their own tasks anymore. So many people have come, and they will be thankful if they can run back alive. Wang Feng looked at the guys running away, his eyes full of murderous intent. He summoned the bow of apocalypse, and with his right hand on the bowstring, 3 arrows flew out, piercing the heads of the 3 guys who ran the fastest, and then continued to fly away. These 3 guys originally thought that as long as they ran past their companions, they could save their lives, but they didn't expect to make things worse and become the first to stand out. They really died with their eyes open. Those who run away will die, Wang Feng's cold voice came, containing endless murderous intent. The remaining guys hurriedly stopped, turned around tremblingly, and looked at Wang Feng, who was like a killing god. Seeing that no one was running away, Wang Feng nodded to Zhao Taihan and motioned him to continue. There are 39 people in total. Zhao Taihan paused when talking about the number of these people. They said they were looking for Qiu Jian, because Qiu Jian followed you, and we don't know what their relationship is, so although you didn't explain before you left, wanting still took them in. But who knows what kind of bastards they are, they want to annex our camp. If you hadn't been here just now, I would have died here. I think the camp must be in danger, but it should be after they go back. After all, they don't have many people. Speaking of this, Zhao Taihan looked at Wang Feng and said solemnly, "Brother Crazy. Thank you. I, Zhao Taihan, am so happy to have a brother like you." Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 105. Hearing Zhao Taihan's words, Wang Feng smiled. "Don't worry. Iron Man. Your injury." Before Wang Feng finished speaking, Zhao Taihan patted his shoulder and pointed at a thin man standing at the end of the crowd and said, "Madman. This guy is the culprit who almost killed me. Help me catch him. I want to kill him with my own hands." Wang Feng looked up, narrowed his eyes, and then rushed out. The thin man named by Zhao Taihan hurriedly shook his hands and shouted in panic, "It's not me, it's not me. The one who wanted to hurt you was Wang Qiang. He was shot to death just now." Wang Feng ignored the guy's excuses, stepped forward and grabbed him, snorted coldly, "Boy! Go to the underworld to find a place to seek justice." Wang Feng knew that Zhao Taihan would not lie to him. Even if he did, what would it matter? Just because they just laughed and watched Zhao Taihan fight alone, these scums should all die. "Madman. Green Island is in your hands. Let's be brothers in the next life." Zhao Taihan put the pistol in front of his mouth, his eyes full of tears, and roared at Wang Feng, then immediately put the pistol in his mouth and pulled the trigger without hesitation. Bang! A fist-sized blood hole appeared on the back of Zhao Taihan's head, and brain matter mixed with blood spurted out. Zhao Taihan's burly body slowly fell backwards, his eyes wide open looking at the gray sky, with a trace of relief in his eyes. "Don't do it, Iron Man." Wang Feng left the thin man behind when Zhao Taihan called him, and roared towards Zhao Taihan, but his gust of wind could no longer be activated, and his physical strength was insufficient. When he was about to reach Zhao Taihan's side, he even couldn't catch Zhao Taihan's slowly falling body in time. Zhao Taihan's body fell to the ground with a thud. After shaking slightly twice, it became silent. Wang Feng, who was running, suddenly stopped. His body leaned forward, and his right hand was still stretched forward. Behind Wang Feng, the survivors from Qiujian camp saw Zhao Taihan's death and Wang Feng's reaction, and their faces showed despair. After looking at each other, they ran away almost at the same time. Wang Feng didn't even look at them. He slowly straightened his body, then stepped forward very carefully, and walked towards Zhao Taihan gently and slowly, as if Zhao Taihan would not die before he finally confirmed it. When he finally stood beside Zhao Taihan, looking at his still open eyes and his face with a hint of peace, Wang Feng's body shook violently. He slowly raised his right hand, which was clenched into a fist, looked down, and then slowly opened his palm. In his palm, there was a small glass bottle, and the golden liquid inside was shaking gently with the trembling of his palm. Evolution Potion. When Wang Feng supported Zhao Taihan before, he had already discovered that his body had been bitten by zombies in many places, so he asked Tiankai to secretly absorb some of Zhao Taihan's blood, and then used the special life energy left by the turtle to synthesize an evolution potion suitable for Zhao Taihan. Wang Feng even asked Tiankai to add some source of life. Although the synthesis of the evolution potion is not slow, it cannot be completed instantly. Moreover, because Zhao Taihan knew that he could not survive, he was anxious to explain the ins and outs of the matter to Wang Feng, and as briefly as possible. Zhao Taihan did not even explain to Wang Feng why he followed these people here, so Wang Feng did not rush to tell Zhao Taihan about the evolution potion first, because there was already a precedent in the Green Island camp where someone took the evolution potion because of a bite, Zhang Xiu. Wang Feng took it for granted that Zhao Taihan should know that he had this ability, and Zhao Taihan had no intention of committing suicide when he was talking to him, and even wanted to avenge himself. Now Wang Feng knew that Zhao Taihan had long been determined to die, and finally claimed to avenge himself just to divert Wang Feng away, and he put the pistol on his lips before he spoke, and immediately put the gun in his mouth after he finished speaking, and fired decisively, leaving no chance for Wang Feng. Because he knew that Wang Feng was extremely fast, and he knew that Wang Feng would not watch him commit suicide. If he didn't die, Wang Feng would waste time by staying to treat him. He was bitten, so why waste Wang Feng's time? In fact, Zhao Taihan did know that Wang Feng had a potion that could turn people into evolvers, and he also knew that he would not be infected after taking this potion, but in Zhao Taihan's heart, this potion must be precious. There has never been a potion that can save the infected, not to mention that this potion can not only cure the infected, but also make the infected soar into the sky and become a powerful evolver. He believed that Wang Feng would not be reluctant to use the strengthening potion on himself. The problem is that it is already quite amazing to have such a precious potion. Who can guarantee that Wang Feng still has it? If Wang Feng does not have the evolution potion, then he will only have two choices: watch himself turn into a corpse, or help himself free. Whichever it is, it will leave a shadow in Wang Feng's heart. Zhao Taihan does not want to cause trouble to his brothers after his death, so he chose to free himself. Wang Feng is back, and the crisis in the Green Island camp should be resolved. Although Zhao Taihan was reluctant to leave Chen Tianhao, Wang Feng, and other brothers who had fought together, he still made what he thought was the most correct choice, and the price was his life. Looking blankly at the evolution potion in his hand, letting the tears of regret flow unscrupulously, Wang Feng had never hated himself as much as he did now. He thought that after the evolution potion was synthesized and things were dealt with here, it would be okay to use the evolution potion on Zhao Taizu. But he didn't expect that when the evolution potion was finally in hand, it was too late. Wang Feng just stared at the golden vial in his hand, and even Qiu Jian and others ran to his side without paying attention. Qiu Jian and others saw Wang Feng's current state, and they didn't dare to speak, but just stood quietly by his side. "Catch all those people back to me, don't let any of them go, and break all their legs." Wang Feng still stared at the evolution potion and said, with no emotion in his cold voice. Qiu Jian and the others didn't even dare to respond. They ran out in silence, chasing after the survivors who were gradually running away. Pa, Wang Feng suddenly clenched his fists, and the evolution liquid in his right hand shattered. The broken bottle pierced his palm, and the evolution liquid mixed with gold fell drop by drop on the ground. Against the backdrop of gold, the red blood looked so charming. Then, Wang Feng knelt down beside Zhao Taihan with a plop, raised his head to the sky, and roared like a beast, "Ah!" The sound lasted for 2 minutes. Even after the sound disappeared, Wang Feng still maintained this posture, raised his head to the sky, his mouth silently open, and hot tears rolled down his cheeks. It is said that men bleed but not cry, but any real soldier will treat this sentence as fart. When you stand in the military camp, looking at the veterans carrying luggage on their backs, wearing red flowers on their chests, and crying like rain at the military camp, when you see the olive green people hugging each other tightly and crying loudly, you will know. Their tears are not because of pain, not because of love, but because they are about to bid farewell to a period of iron-blooded life and glorious years that has been engraved in their lives, which they can never forget, but can never experience again. They are using these tears to bury their life journeys that were built with youth and passion, blood and glory, friendship and war songs. They are using these tears to bid farewell to their passionate brothers who are loyal to each other, depend on each other for life and death, and dare to give their backs to themselves on the battlefield. It was unknown how long it took before Wang Feng slowly lowered his head, leaned over to pick up Zhao Taihan's body, and then looked at the soldiers of the Guardian Corps who had captured all the people and broken their legs. When he saw Qiu Jian, he suddenly stopped. The survivors in the hands of the others had their legs broken, and fearing that their moans or pleas for mercy would disturb Wang Feng, these soldiers knocked out the survivors one after another. Only the survivor in Qiu Jian's hand was just held in Qiu Jian's hand, staring at Wang Feng with terrified eyes but not daring to make any sound. "Can't do it," Wang Feng looked at Qiu Jian. "Yes. After all, they are from the camp where I was before. We are all familiar with each other and we are not bad, so I can't." Qiu Jian looked straight into Wang Feng's eyes and said, but before he finished speaking, he found that Wang Feng had already turned around and left with Zhao Taihan's body. "After returning to the Green Island camp, take your woman with you, and then you can leave." Qiu Jian looked at Wang Feng's back and heard such a sentence. The other soldiers of the Guard Corps looked at each other, then at Qiu Jian, without saying anything. They all took their captives and followed Wang Feng towards the convoy parked on the road. Only the 2 soldiers closest to Qiu Jian reached out their hands and gently patted his shoulders when they passed by Qiu Jian, and then followed him. Qiu Jian looked at the person he was holding in his hands, and a trace of confusion flashed in his eyes, but after hesitating for a moment, he still took the captive and chased after him. After returning to the convoy, Wang Feng gently placed Zhao Taihan's body on his seat, then sat next to him, put his hand on his shoulder, and then looked up at the front. Qiu Jian was the last one to get on the car. After getting on the car, he looked at Wang Feng, then at his captive, and finally chose to remain silent, pushed the captive into the car, then sat in the driver's seat, closed the door, and started the car. Amid the roar of the car, Wang Feng's convoy drove towards the Green Island camp. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 106. After the vehicle started and headed towards the Green Island camp, Wang Feng directly pulled the prisoner who was pushed into the car by Qiu Jian in front of him, looked at him and asked expressionlessly, "What is your plan to go to the Green Island camp?" Wang Feng didn't say anything harsh, and his tone was very calm. However, his blood-red eyes made the prisoner feel deep fear, and he shuddered involuntarily. I'll tell you everything." He didn't even dare to mention conditions such as letting me go after I told him. The prisoner just poured beans out of a bamboo tube and explained all the reasons for their coming to the Green Island camp. Clearly, it turned out that when Qiu Jian followed Wang Feng to the Green Island camp, other people carried the unconscious Huang Mao back to Qiu Jian's camp, and then told the people in Qiu Jian's camp what happened. People couldn't help but be shocked when they learned about Qiu Jian's betrayal. The main reason is that their camp mainly relies on Qiu Jian, a first-level enhancer, to lead the team to collect supplies. If Qiu Jian is lost, they will not even dare to go out of the camp. After losing Qiu Jian, there were only 42 people left in Qiu Jian's camp. Among them, only 8 were women, and the rest were all men. It seemed that Yang was strong and Yin was weak, and all of them were adults. From their teens to their 40s or 50s, there are no elderly people or children. At this time, all these people gathered together, and their eyes fell on a tall and thin man in the middle. This man is about 50 years old. Of course, people after the apocalypse are generally anxious to grow up, especially those over 30 years old, so this guy is probably only about 40. The man is quite elegant looking, with fine features, and paired with the dark gray suit he is wearing, all right. It may be white, but if you add the clothes and gold-rimmed glasses, you will be a standard secretary. This man's name is Lu Qing, a very ordinary name, but when he introduces himself, he is indeed very extraordinary. He is known as the XX secretary of a certain city, and because he talks with one theory after another, he often confuses people, so the people around him were willing to listen to him, and respectfully called him Secretary Lu. Lu Qing is now supporting his chin with one hand and his elbow with the other hand, as if he is deep in thought. This is Lu Qing's standard action when he is thinking about a problem. Generally speaking, when he comes up with an idea, he will raise his chin hand. Stand up and snap your fingers, then smile slightly, then look around at everyone, and then slowly speak your mind. Now he had an idea, so he really did the standard action. He raised his hand and snapped his fingers, then smiled slightly and looked around at the audience. Lao Huan won't write the set of actions again, lest people say I'm slowing down the number of words, he. I think, for everyone's safety, and for the safety of Captain Qiu Jian, we should set out as a group tomorrow to go to the Green Island camp to find Captain Qiu Jian. After all, although Captain Qiu Jian is an enhancer, he is too simple and too impulsive. It is easy to be emotional, and it is easy to suffer in front of outsiders. Since he is one of us, we can't leave him alone, so even if there is danger on the road, we must save Captain Qiu Jian, and never abandon or give up. We must do this in this end of the world, so that we can know one can survive alone in this apocalypse. And Lu Qing paused for a while. Usually at this time, Huang Mao would ask anxiously and loudly, "And how about it?" But today Lu Qing waited for a while but didn't hear anything. Then he suddenly remembered that Huang Mao was slapped by Wang Feng and was knocked unconscious. He still hadn't woken up yet, so he had to take it on his own. Moreover, I heard from those who came back that the leader of the Green Island camp is a woman. How is this allowed? Lu Qing lamented. Women are the ones who need to be protected. When there is any danger, men should stand in front. How can you put the future of a camp on a woman? This is nonsense and a serious disrespect for women. How many aspects should be taken into account when responsible for the safety of a camp? How can a woman afford it? I strongly condemn the men in this Green Island camp. They are simply cowards, a bunch of cowards hiding behind women. Lu Qing said this, and his tone became more and more impassioned. No matter how dangerous it is, we must go to Green Island camp tomorrow, not only to rescue Captain Qiu Jian, but also for the female leader of Green Island camp, and even more for Green Island camp, those survivors of the island camp. We can't just take care of ourselves. Although we are safe here and the supplies are not too scarce, we can't give up on any human beings. Those humans are all our compatriots. Are you willing to work with me to save them? The people surrounding him looked at each other, but no one dared to speak when they thought of going out. Lu Qing frowned. People without guidance are inconvenient, so he glared at the person on his left fiercely, and then shouted again, "Don't abandon, don't give up. Have you forgotten? Are you willing?" The guy next to him who was glared at quickly raised his arms and shouted, "Yes." With his leadership, several more people followed in disorder and shouted, "Yes." Lu Qing took advantage of this opportunity and quickly asked, "Tell me louder one last time. Are you willing?" Yes, it seemed that everyone finally reacted, and this time it was very neat. Although there were still a dozen or so people who didn't shout, Lu Qing pretended not to see it. He nodded happily, "Very good. No one asked me disappointed. Remember, we are one, and everyone in the end of the world should be one. Now everyone go back and rest. Get ready to set off at dawn tomorrow. Xylee is still in a coma. I want to go see him." Hey! Human beings are still killing each other now. Do you still think that human beings are left in a coma? Too much rain. Lu Qing shook his head and sighed pitifully, then pointed at 5 people and said, "You guys. Let me wake up Xylee first. This child is too honest and gets bullied wherever he goes." After everyone else left, the remaining 5 people followed Lu Qing to the unconscious Huang Mao, but ignored Huang Mao and began to discuss tomorrow's actions. However, they did not discuss any useful plan until the end, because they did not understand the Green Island camp at all. Wu Qi, who knew the Green Island camp, had already defected from their place with Qiu Jian and went to the Green Island camp. In the end, the helpless Lu Qing had no choice but to wait until he arrived at the Green Island camp to wait for an opportunity and explore the situation there first. However, this time Lu Qing sternly told the other 5 people that they must learn to cooperate with him and watch over him. The look in your eyes when you speak. If you don't know when to interrupt, just listen to your own tone, and as soon as you raise your voice, echo it immediately. This is not difficult, and these 5 people have memorized it in less than an hour. Finally, Lu Qing divided the 5 people into groups, 2 by 2, and the remaining 1 followed Lu Qing, telling them that if they took action, they should remember who their partner was. Don't make a mistake, for fear that they would not be able to remember. If so, you can tie a colored rope on your arm as a mark, so you can tell if it's correct by looking at the color. The 5 people all admired Lu Qing's wisdom. No matter how big the problem was, he could solve it immediately. It seemed that they were with the right person. Wang Fen was going crazy when he heard this. His originally very depressed mood was much better now. Moreover, he learned that this guy was one of the 5 people who conspired with Lu Qing, so he looked at his arm. Sure enough, there is a yellow silk scarf tied there. "Where's your partner?" Wang Feng asked. He thought what this guy said was a bit outrageous, so he might as well find that person to confront him again. You shot me to death." That kid was the fastest at the time. Huang Silk Scarf lowered his head and whispered. "Huh? Isn't that right? How do I remember that the guy I shot to death had a green silk scarf wrapped around his arm?" Wang Feng recalled for a moment and said, "The distance at that time was not something that even ordinary people could do, let alone the clairvoyance." "Wrong. You got the wrong person, right?" Wang Feng suddenly thought of a possibility, and asked in disbelief with his eyes widened. "No. No," Huang Scarf said with a face of shame, "actually. When we were looking for scarves, we couldn't find the same color. You know we don't have many resources over there. Just these 5 scarves are still, the ones I asked for from those women only came in 5 colors, so I had to make do with them because they didn't have the same colors." Wang Feng resisted the urge to slap this kid to death, and asked through gritted teeth, "So you are now the head of these people?" No, no, no," the yellow scarf shook his head quickly, "no, The next day, after Secretary Lu saw the silk scarves tied on our arms, for some reason, he told us that the 5 of us did not need to be divided into groups. He would find someone to take us. Wang Feng sneered, "Humph. You still know how to change people, but what about the person leading the team?" "Yeah. You also shot them to death, those 2 who were following Li Lin. They were the leaders of our group." Huang Silk Scarf felt very depressed, wondering why this man asked who should die. "What if you ask me where I am later?" Wang Feng was stunned when he heard this, but he thought that he might not be able to ask anything if he got together with such a person. Anyway, he was about to go to the Green Island camp, and everything would be clear by then. Moreover, what should be collected? All must be taken back. Wang Feng's eyes flashed with Sun Yan's murderous intent again, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, "Kill and kill." After the 3rd child heard Wang Feng's voice, he immediately left his seat. Then 3 people rushed towards the yellow scarf at the same time, 1 for the head and 2 for the legs. The yellow scarf didn't even make a sound before his legs were broken and he fainted. Past. The Guardian Legion soldiers in the car were shocked, and at the same time they remembered Wang Feng's order just now, break all their legs. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 107. When the convoy arrived at the Green Island camp, the Green Island camp was very lively. 2 groups of people were confronting each other in the camp. When Wang Feng and his convoy arrived, the 2 sides of the confrontation naturally saw them, so they all turned their heads to look at them. Wang Feng was not in the car at this time, but stood on the roof of the first car. In his arms, he was holding Zhao Taihan's body. Chen Tianhao and Wu Qi were both standing on the sentry tower at this time. Wu Qi held the machine gun and pointed it down. Even when he saw the convoy coming, he did not turn the gun. Chen Tianhao turned to the convoy. Seeing this huge convoy, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. He pulled the heavy sniper rifle on the sentry tower, seriously injured. He looked through the scope to see who was coming. Wang Feng, who had a sky eye, naturally saw Chen Tianhao's actions, but he did not move at all, allowing Chen Tianhao to aim at him with the seriously injured. Although he was an evolver, at this distance, if Chen Tianhao shot at him, he would not be able to dodge even with his speed, and would definitely be dead or disabled, especially at this moment, he was holding Zhao Taihan's body in his hands. But he just stood there, his body seemed to be nailed to the top of the bus, looking calmly at the Green Island camp, a place he had just left for less than 2 days. Zhao Taihan in his arms still had his eyes open, one hand on his chest, and the other hand hanging naturally, shaking slightly with the bumps of the bus. The moment he saw Wang Feng clearly, Chen Tianhao was overjoyed, and the next moment, his expression suddenly froze, and then his hands fell weakly, staring blankly in the direction of the convoy. The heavy sniper rifle fell from his hands and hit the sentry tower heavily, shaking gently from side to side. This heavy sniper rifle was Zhao Taihan's favorite. He usually didn't let others touch it, and even had to hold it when he slept. Only when he went out, because the gun was too heavy, would he leave it in the camp. Now, the gun is still the same gun, but the owner is no longer able to lift it. Chen Tianhao climbed down the watchtower with difficulty. The short ladder seemed to be a natural barrier for him. He paused and climbed down the watchtower with difficulty. Then he pointed at the camp gate and said tremblingly, "Road. Get out of the way." The guards at the camp gate understood what Chen Tianhao meant. Although they didn't know why their captain suddenly lost his normal state, they still followed his orders. The gate opened, and 4 guards ran out, drove away the cars that formed the maze, and made way for the upcoming convoy. Lu Wanting was standing in the middle of the confrontation. Opposite her was Lu Qing from Qiujian's camp, and Chen Shaoan, who was sent back by Wang Feng to report the news, stood beside Lu Wanting. Seeing the camp gate open, Lu Wanting knew that the people who came must be her own people, and they were also known by Chen Tianhao. Such a large convoy could not be from the Green Island camp, so the answer was naturally obvious. Looking at the slightly thin figure on the bus, Lu Wanting's eyes were filled with tears. He is back. When she needed him the most, he came back. Lu Wanting turned and ran out, not caring that Lu Qing and others who were negotiating with her were standing opposite her. Wang Feng was back, so the matter was left to him to decide, and she didn't need to pretend to be strong anymore. Although the gate was opened, the vehicles in front of the convoy did not enter the camp, but all moved to both sides of the road to make way for the last 4 vehicles in the convoy. Wang Feng jumped off the first car when it approached the camp gate and walked into the camp. Lu Wanting rushed towards Wang Feng, but when she rushed to him and saw Zhao Taihan lying in his arms, his eyes still open, her body was shaken. Lu Wanting took 2 steps back, staggered and sat on the ground, looking at Zhao Taihan's body and shaking her head desperately. Tears kept flowing around her as she moved. No. This is impossible. This is impossible. Wang Feng looked at Lu Wanting, a look of pity flashed in his eyes. He walked straight past her without stopping, and walked towards Chen Tianhao, who was standing in the camp gate and was afraid to step forward. At this time, many people rushed out of the camp. They were all the earliest members of the Green Island camp. They were just confronting Lu Qing and others behind Lu Wanting. At this time, they found that Wang Feng was holding Zhao Taihan's body, and they couldn't help but run over in a mess. Zhao Taihan, a generous and enthusiastic man, had very good personnel in the camp, even more than Lu Wanting and Chen Tianhao, because Lu Wanting was the captain. Sometimes she had to retain a little dignity, and although Chen Tianhao looked rough, he was actually very delicate and considered problems more comprehensively. Only Zhao Taihan, this guy, is heartless and likes to be straightforward. He praises when he is happy and scolds when he is unhappy. He never hides anything in his heart. When everyone was skeptical about Wang Feng's strengthening potion, he was the first to stand up and apologize to Wang Feng. This kind of character of his is loved by most of the survivors in the camp, especially those children, who like to play with Uncle Taihan the most. But now, they see that their Uncle Taihan has a terrible big hole in the back of his head and was carried back by that crazy uncle. Wang Feng walked in front of Chen Tianhao, took a deep breath of the bloody air, and gently handed Zhao Taihan to Chen Tianhao. Taihan was bitten by the zombies a few times, and thought he couldn't make it, so, I didn't have time, sorry. Chen Tianhao saw Zhao Taihan's fatal injury at this time. He knew that his brother was gone forever. His eyes were red, but fierce murderous intent burst out. He took Zhao Taihan, looked into his eyes, and squeezed out 2 words from his teeth, "Who is it?" Wang Feng raised his head, looked at the group of people on Lu Qing's side, and said coldly, "We will know soon." Wang Feng did not cry at this moment, because he had already shed tears when Zhao Taihan died. Next, it was time to bleed, the blood of revenge. Wang Feng turned and walked towards Lu Qing. The Green Island survivors who had surrounded him and cried softly made way for him. Chen Tianhao also hugged Zhao Taihan and followed behind Wang Feng, muttering, "Old buddy. Wait a minute." When Wang Feng stood in front of Lu Qing, the murderous aura on him made Lu Qing's group involuntarily step back a few steps and looked at Wang Feng in panic. Chen Tianhao also stood beside Wang Feng. He had put Zhao Taihan down and put one of his arms on his shoulders, so that Zhao Taihan could stand together with him, as if they were still fighting side by side as before. The other survivors of the Green Island camp stood behind Wang Feng and Chen Tianhao. Wu Qi on the sentry tower had also climbed down the sentry tower at this moment, still carrying Zhao Taihan's heavy wound on his back. He came to Lu Wanting and handed the heavy wound to Lu Wanting. After Lu Wanting's eyes stayed on the heavy wound for a while, her tears surged even more. She stood up, holding the heavy wound tightly, looked up at the sentry tower, and climbed up. Wu Qi sighed at Lu Wanting's back, turned around and walked behind Wang Feng. When confronting Lu Wanting before, there were more than 100 people behind Lu Qing. In addition to Lu Qing's original people, there were also some people who stayed in the Black Wolf camp. Lu Qing relied on his eloquence to successfully convince these people that only by following Lu Qing could they live better in this doomsday. At this moment, seeing Wang Feng's return, the people in the original Black Wolf camp felt regretful. At that time, Wang Feng had people cut off the limbs of Triangle Eyes and hang them in the warehouse. The scene appeared in front of them again, but now it was too late to regret. The camps of both sides were clearly divided, and even if they wanted to sneak over, they couldn't do it, so many people began to retreat involuntarily. In the end, they retreated a few meters away. In front of Wang Feng, only Lu Qing was left standing there. It was not that Lu Qing was courageous, but that he didn't know that the people behind him had retreated. He thought those people were behind him. Moreover, he had never seen Wang Feng, but he only knew that this person was the barbarian who had beaten Huang Mao unconscious before. However, after all, Wang Feng did not kill Huang Mao at that time, so although Wang Feng was full of murderous aura, he could still barely stand in front of Wang Feng. "You. Who are you?" Lu Qing tried to control his voice and wanted to show that he was calm, but his trembling voice proved that his efforts failed. He knew who Wang Feng was, but if he didn't speak again, he would probably be crushed by the invisible pressure emanating from Wang Feng. Bang! Wang Feng didn't bother to pay attention to him at all, and directly slapped him back, just back to his camp. From Huang Sijin, Wang Feng already knew Lu Qing, and he felt that talking to such an idiot was an insult to himself. After slapping the fly in front of him, Wang Feng raised his arm high and made a gesture. The soldiers of the Guardian Corps immediately came up with the captives with broken legs and threw them in front of Wang Feng. Afterwards, without Wang Feng saying anything, the soldiers of the Guard Corps found the guards of the Green Island camp, brought back some cold water, and woke them up. After these guys woke up, there was a wailing in the Green Island camp, and Lu Qing, who saw this scene, began to tremble violently. He realized at this time that he seemed to have made a mistake, and a very serious mistake. The Wang Feng in front of him was obviously not as kind as he imagined, and this person should not be moved by words, and it seems that he is not good at anything except language. Lu Qing began to regret bringing people to the Green Island camp this time. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 108. Looking at the captives who were rolling and wailing in front of him, Wang Feng's expression did not fluctuate at all. He just said softly, "If there are any more screams, kill them." As soon as Wang Feng finished speaking, the captives instantly quieted down. After one of the captives stopped talking, he instinctively wanted to step back a little and try to get away from Wang Feng, who was like a nightmare in his heart. Who knew that as soon as his legs kicked back, two broken bones collided with each other, and the huge pain made him scream. The voice was just halfway out when he was forcibly stopped. The captive covered his mouth with both hands, looked at Wang Feng who was standing there calmly, and suddenly let go of his hands, saying repeatedly, "I didn't scream, I don't feel any pain, really don't feel any pain." Wang Sha's body shook slightly in the killing, but before he flew out, a soldier of the Guardian Corps jumped over, grabbed the captive's head with both hands, twisted his neck, and then, without even looking at the others, returned to his own side. This soldier was in a car with Wang Feng before. The soldiers of the Guardian Corps in this car were a little depressed now. Wang Feng had just said that his orders must be obeyed absolutely in the future, but they made a mistake just after a while. Wang Feng asked them to break the legs of all the survivors who killed Zhao Taihan, but they only had one left, and this person was finally broken by Shalumi San Xiao, which was considered to be a thorough execution of Wang Feng's order. If these three little brats get ahead again this time, then these grown men will not have to mix in the future. After a person died in the field, the injured captives next to him were even more terrified, but they dared not move at all, because they were afraid that like that person, they would touch their wounds during the movement and couldn't help but scream, then they really would not be afraid of pain anymore. Lu Qing regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. He really wished he had never been here. Do these people really dare to kill people? They are different from the people he had seen before. At least they are reasonable, and he is best at reasoning. Lu Qing's original plan was to convince some people after coming here, and then slowly infiltrate, pull people's hearts towards himself little by little, and finally control the entire Green Island camp in his own hands, although he knew that there were several enhancers in the Green Island camp. But what's wrong with the enhancers? As long as the other party is willing to listen to him, he is sure to convince the other party. Isn't Qiu Jian the best example? After he came to Green Island, he said that he came to join Qiu Jian. Although Wu Qi didn't like these people, when Lu Wanting confirmed it to him, Wu Qi still nodded, proving that these people were indeed companions in the same camp with him and Qiu Jian before. Because Qiu Jian was now following Wang Feng, Lu Wanting also regarded Qiu Jian as one of her own, and seeing that there was not even an enhancer among these people, there was no danger to her camp at all, especially there were 8 women in it. So she took them in. Who knew that although Lu Qing's IQ was not very high, his social skills were very strong, and he soon got familiar with the ordinary people in the camp. Moreover, after learning that many of these ordinary people were survivors of the original Black Wolf camp and had just joined the Green Island camp after the death of Black Wolf, Lu Qing felt that his chance had come. After communicating with the people in the Black Wolf camp for a while, he finally painted a very magnificent picture for the survivors of the Black Wolf camp, making them believe that if they were willing to follow Lu Qing and support Lu Qing in participating in the management of the Green Island camp, the future of the Green Island camp would be quite beautiful. At that time, the Green Island camp would be a paradise on earth, with no killing, no death, no shortage of food and clothing, no picking up of lost items on the road, no locking of doors at night. Everyone was happy, and even the zombies would smile and say hello when they saw you. Lu Qing was able to make these people believe in himself, not because his language ability had really reached a certain level, nor because all the people in the Black Wolf camp were so mentally retarded and idiotic, but because these people were willing to believe what Lu Qing said and did not want to doubt it at all. When people's lives are in crisis, they often do things that seem stupid at ordinary times. It's not that their IQ has decreased, but that they are unwilling to give up their desire for life in their hearts, just like a straw in the hands of a drowning person. Everyone knows that a straw cannot save their lives, but they will hold the straw tightly in their hands and refuse to give up even if they die. The future described by Lu Qing is obviously the life they desire, so they are willing to choose to believe it. Even if they know it is impossible in their hearts, they will reject their doubts and try their best to make themselves believe it. This is human self-hypnosis. Just like before the end of the world, there are always people who will fantasize about becoming a strong man who stands tall and upright in their dreams. With a wave of their hands, the strong enemies will be wiped out. When they stop, everyone will be united, and they will own the world and be invincible in the world. After waking up, they will put on a safety helmet and go out to move bricks. It is because of this that people like Lu Qing can survive in this end of the world until now, and there are dozens of people around him who are willing to follow him. Even if they can't live the kind of life he said, listening to it every day and fantasizing about it is a kind of comfort. Therefore, there was the scene where Lu Qing led these people to confront Lu Wanting. Lu Qing was not stupid. He never thought that he would be able to control the entire Green Island camp as soon as he came. What he wanted to fight for was the identity of a manager. But Lu Wanting naturally refused. The two sides were arguing, and Wang Feng and the others arrived. As for Zhao Taihan, it was because of the previous wave of people, the survivors who now had their legs broken, that they secretly found Zhao Taihan and told him that they were new arrivals and were anxious to contribute to the camp. They were preparing to go out to collect supplies, but because the road was unfamiliar and there were no strengtheners among them, they begged Zhao Taihan to lead them out. Zhao Taihan, a straightforward man, of course agreed wholeheartedly. In his opinion, since Lu Wanting accepted these people, then these people are naturally part of the Green Island camp. It is naturally a good thing to think of going out to help the camp collect supplies. However, these people said that it was best not to let others know this. Zhao Taihan did not agree, because the rules of the Green Island camp were that no matter who went out, he had to report to Lu Wanting, so Zhao Taihan went to Lu Wanting to tell him. At that time, Lu Qing had not started to attack, and it seemed that he was having a heated fight with the people in the camp, so Lu Wanting agreed without much thought. Later, Zhao Taihan led these people and actually discovered zombies. Zhao Taihan was originally planning to evacuate and did not want to fight these zombies, because there were more than 40 zombies in total, including an enhanced zombie, and the most important thing was that these zombies they were in a wilderness and didn't occupy any resources, so killing them seemed to be more of a loss than a gain. But those who followed Zhao Taihan begged Zhao Taihan to help contain the enhanced zombie, and vowed that as long as Zhao Taihan could contain the enhanced zombie, they would deal with all other ordinary zombies, and they were eager to become enhanced zombies. These more than 40 zombies may have a strengthener among them, which can also strengthen the power of the Green Island camp. Zhao Taihan hesitated but agreed, and then arranged a battle plan. Originally, if these people could completely follow Zhao Taihan's arrangements, there was hope that they could kill all the zombies, but these people pulled Zhao Taihan out just to disperse Ludeo the power of camp. Since one of Chen Tianhao and Zhao Taihan had to stay in the Green Island camp, and Lu Wanting, as the captain, would bring her own team when she came out, it was impossible to bring them with her, so they had to choose Zhao Taihan. And their mission is to try to hold Zhao Taihan away from him and prevent him from returning to the Green Island camp. Of course, it would be best to kill him. After seeing the zombies, this group of people felt that this was the best opportunity to kill Zhao Taihan. So he encouraged Zhao Taihan to attack this small group of corpses. When Zhao Taihan finally started to attack the enhanced zombies, they charged together and shouted loudly, but before they came into contact with the zombies, they turned around and ran away, leaving the entire group of zombies to Zhao Taihan. Zhao Taihan knew that he had been fooled, but due to the retreat of these people, his wings were no longer protected, so he was instantly surrounded by zombies. Fortunately, he made a decisive decision and broke out directly. He was killed by the zombies even after being bitten twice. That mutated zombie. Otherwise, he would have been torn to pieces by the zombies before Wang Feng came. This was also after Wang Feng heard that after absorbing the turtle, there were only more than 10,000 apocalypse points in the apocalypse, compared to the dozens or hundreds he imagined. One was missing too much, so he yelled out. In order to cover up his actions, he went to the roof of the car to search, and luckily found Zhao Taihan. However, because Zhao Taihan was too determined to commit suicide, even Wang Feng failed to save Zhao Taihan's life. This ironclad man died in the hands of a group of insidious villains. Lu Qing knew something was wrong when he saw Zhao Taihan's body, but because he didn't see other people, he thought those people were dead, so he didn't worry too much and said he didn't know and pushed the matter aside. Just clean it. Anyway, there is no evidence to prove it, so I guess the other party can't do anything to me. No matter what, they can't kill people in the camp, right? At worst, forget it for today, just stay here for a while and slowly win over people. But now the appearance of these prisoners shattered Lu Qing's illusions. He knew that now it was not a matter of him saying forget it, but whether the other party could forget it. It was his idea for these people to go to Zhao Taihan. Looking at these people, their performance will tell them that they have confessed themselves. What frightened Lu Qing the most was that they actually killed someone, and it seemed that these newcomers didn't care about this kind of thing. That only meant that this was not the first time they had done this. Look. Only God knows whether I can leave here alive today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 109. Lu Qing was wrong. He might not know whether he could leave the sky alive today, but Wang Feng knew. Moreover, when Wang Feng asked the yellow scarf, he did not ask who came up with the idea to kill Zhao Taihan. In Wang Feng's heart, these guys with bad intentions must die, and none of them can leave alive. Wang Feng looked at the people standing behind Lu Qing, and a trace of pity flashed in his eyes. He really felt sorry for these people. After the death of He Lang, Lu Wanting did not embarrass these people, but took them in. However, Lu Qing's few words made them stand on the opposite side of Lu Wanting. You are good. You chose to oppose us so quickly, Wang Feng said with a sneer. Hey! Captain Wang, a combatant who originally belonged to the Black Wolf camp, stepped forward timidly. We are not going to oppose the Green Island camp. Captain Lu said that we are also from the Green Island camp. We just want Mr. Lu to participate in the management of the camp because we think he is very talented. We are also doing this for the good of the camp. Yes. We want Mr. Lu to help us because we think Captain Lu is too hard-working. Yes. We are all kind-hearted. Shut up, Wang Feng's cold voice interrupted the voices of these people defending themselves. You are idiots, but do you think everyone else is an idiot? They clearly think that Lu Qing and the others are also outsiders, and they can barely be considered as one of their factions. If Lu Qing can really be allowed to enter the management of the Green Island camp, then they will also be taken care of in the future. Now Wang Feng is too lazy to explain to these people, because he feels that since he has already decided how to deal with these people, it would only be a waste of words to say more to them, and he might even be scolded, so he quickly dealt with them and went back. There is a dead turtle and a more powerful unknown creature waiting for him over there. Time cannot be wasted on these rubbish. Now, those who are still willing to follow him stay where they are, and those who are unwilling to follow him retreat, Wang Feng said. Hula. A large group of people all retreated to the back, and only Lu Qing was left in front again. Lu Qing lived up to his name at this time, and his face was very green, but he did not dare to move, because Wang Feng was looking at him coldly. What made him a little strange was that Wang Feng looked at him without a mocking look. How could he know that Wang Feng did not take him seriously at all, just an idiot? If it were not for them killing Zhao Taihan, Wang Feng would not even bother to kill them, so how could he mock him? Qiu Jian, Wang Feng suddenly shouted. Qiu Jian walked over through the crowd, stood in front of Wang Feng, and looked at Wang Feng with a complicated expression. Take it. Give it to your woman to drink. She will recover. It will only take a few minutes. But she will remember everything she has experienced. You'd better be mentally prepared. Although I am not very satisfied with your performance, I still choose to fulfill my promise. Now take your woman away. Wang Feng did not even look at Qiu Jian. He directly threw a small golden bottle to Qiu Jian and said lightly, Don't get involved, otherwise, you will be my enemy. The small golden bottle is the strengthening potion that Wang Feng asked Tiankai to synthesize. Unlike other strengthening potions, Wang Feng asked Tiankai to add a trace of life source to this strengthening potion. Although it is only a very weak trace, it is indeed the life source of a level 5 creature, enough to restore Qiu Jian's unisanity. The reason why he gave it to Qiu Jian now and let him leave was because Wang Feng did not want to do what he was about to do in front of Qiu Jian. Although Qiu Jian already knew what he was going to do, after all, Qiu Jian had been with him for a while, he did not want to make Qiu Jian too embarrassed. Qiu Jian took the strengthening potion, looked at Wang Feng, and then looked at the 2 buses parked at the entrance of the camp. He struggled for a moment, and finally opened his mouth, "Thank you," then he turned and left. This was not what he wanted to say, but in the end he still didn't say what he wanted to say. Watching Qiu Jian leave and go find the girl named Yunur, Wang Feng looked at the survivors who had retreated to the back and said again, "All those who came with this idiot, stand in front, you all came together, of course you have to go together." The survivors who originally followed Lu Qing, but retreated with the people of the Black Wolf camp after Wang Feng's words, were dumbfounded. They originally thought that they could escape by retreating, but they didn't expect that they still couldn't escape. And now it's useless for them to hide, because they are afraid of being implicated. The survivors of the Black Wolf camp who used to call them brothers and advance and retreat together with them, now pull them one after another and push them all away from their side. "Hey! Why are you shrinking back? I told you guys to leave together, get out now." "Yes, yes, yes. And you? What are you doing? Stop squatting, stand up. Get out now. And this? This one is also from their group. This one seems to be too. You. I'm from the Black Wolf camp. Hurry up and look around you, don't let these guys with bad intentions get away." Wang Feng, the soldiers of the Guardian Corps, and the survivors of the Green Island camp just stood there and watched the scene quietly. Suddenly, a feeling of sadness filled them. Since when did humans become so realistic? Just now they were standing together, shouting passionately in support of Lu Qing, saying that he could lead the camp out of the predicament, but now, even the people who came with Lu Qing have become drowned dogs that everyone wants to beat. Wang Feng just said a word, and these people actually started to help find people automatically, and they searched quite thoroughly. Even the people in the Black Wolf camp spontaneously lined up in a queue, and then sent 2 people to walk in front of the queue to check if there were any fish that Lu Qing and his gang had left behind. Maybe they were too busy looking for people to feel it, or even if they felt it, no one cared. As long as they could survive, is the vision of others really important? Didn't they say it? Go your own way and let others look at it? When these people were done, they really confirmed that there was no one from Lu Qing's side left among them, and then they all quieted down. It was only at this time that they realized that they seemed to have become the focus of the scene. Everyone present was looking at them, including Lu Qing. However, unexpectedly, there was no disdain or contempt in the eyes of these people, but an emotion that they could not explain, except that Lu Qing's eyes were full of self-mockery. They began to feel uneasy, because they did not know whether their actions just now could show their position and get rid of the trouble of being mixed with Lu Qing and others. Wang Feng sighed. He originally wanted to count the number of people, because Zhao Taihan had mentioned their number before he died, but now he suddenly lost interest. He waved his hand weakly and whispered to the survivors of the Black Wolf camp, "Go to the side." The survivors of the Black Wolf camp were overjoyed, knowing that their lives were saved, and ran away quickly, while running and secretly looking at Wang Feng. Seeing that Wang Feng did not pay any attention to them, they simply ran to the warehouse. The warehouse was where Black Wolf and his men had hung the 2-legged sheep before. Of course, now the people hanging there were Xiaohao and others, and they were not dead yet. Low groans kept coming out of it. None of these survivors wanted to get too close to here before, but now no one cares about it. Maybe for them, at least they can save their lives. There is no environment in this world that they can't stand, no people they can't give up, and no things they can't do. They think that this is the only way to live longer in this doomsday. As for whether it is true, they can only wait for themselves to verify it. Are you going to kill us?" Li Qing swallowed and asked, and the people around him all looked at Wang Feng with horror. "They are the ones who killed Taihan. I don't know who is the mastermind, but I think they all participated." Wang Feng ignored Li Qing and said to Chen Tianhao beside him, "Help me support Taihan." Chen Tianhao's eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. What for? Wang Feng did not help Zhao Taihan. Kill people? Chen Tianhao looked at Li Qing, the anger in his eyes seemed to be about to burst out. "It's not that easy, just watch here." Wang Feng looked into Chen Tianhao's eyes and answered, and then he looked at Zhao Taihan's face. Zhao Taihan's open eyes made Wang Feng's heart ache, and he quickly turned his head and nodded to a soldier of the Guardian Corps beside him. The soldier also nodded to Wang Feng, and then waved his hand. More than 70 guards on the scene came forward and formed a circle, surrounding Li Qing and others in the middle, including the captives with broken legs. The survivors who came with Li Qing didn't know what Wang Feng was going to do to them, and they subconsciously gathered together, but this time they did not gather around Li Qing, but left him for a distance. They thought that Wang Feng would never let Li Qing go, so they had better stay away from him. If they didn't know that no one would believe it, they even wanted to pretend that they didn't know Li Qing. Li Qing did not take the initiative to move over, just standing there blankly, while the injured prisoners also struggled to crawl together, so the group that originally came here together was now divided into 3 groups. Li Qing was in one group, the healthy people were in another group, and the prisoners with broken legs were in another group. The 3 groups were so clearly divided. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 110. When the soldiers of the Guardian Corps surrounded the city in a circle, the 4 buses outside the camp also started at the same time. Because the buses in front had already left a path for them, they drove into the camp unimpeded. Hearing the roar of the car, the survivors of the Green Island camp who were gathered together quickly made way, allowing the 4 cars to drive in and drive to the circle surrounded by the Guardian soldiers. Swish, the automatic doors of the buses opened together, and the remaining Guardian soldiers got off the bus one by one. Seeing these Guardian soldiers get off the bus, everyone present, except the Guardian soldiers, couldn't help but change their faces. Because each of these Guardian soldiers who got off the bus was holding 2 zombies in their hands, and these zombies were still alive, and the roar in their mouths was chilling, but their necks were grabbed by the Guardian soldiers, and their hands were tied together, so they couldn't cause any harm to these Guardian soldiers at all. Although Chen Tianhao mourned the death of Zhao Taihan, he couldn't help looking at Wang Feng now, his eyes full of shock. Although he knew that Wang Feng had a method to quickly become an enhancer, he didn't expect that in less than 2 days, Wang Feng actually brought back a legion of enhancers with 100 people. When the more than 70 guards formed a circle before, Chen Tianhao found that these people were very fast, but he didn't think much about it. Now seeing that each of these guards who got off the car was holding 2 living zombies, he realized that these people should be first-level enhancers. The reason is very simple. Although zombies move slowly, they are quite strong. Ordinary people may be able to kill 2 zombies by themselves, but it is absolutely impossible for them to hold these zombies one by one like these soldiers now. Seeing Chen Tianhao's gaze, Wang Feng nodded at him, indicating that these are indeed first-level enhancers like Chen Tianhao. A total of 20 guards got off the car, bringing down 40 living zombies, and came to Wang Feng. The survivors of the Green Island camp, who were originally close to Wang Feng, stepped back involuntarily and made way. Wang Feng moved his hand, and Apocalypse appeared in his hand. Of course, it was the first order form, the Blade of Apocalypse. Then he looked at Lu Qing and others who were surrounded in the field, and said slowly. When you were calculating Taihanzi, the group of zombies you encountered had more than 40 zombies, and there was also a strengthened zombie among them. You let Taihanzi fight so many zombies alone, and in the end. Wang Feng looked back at Zhao Taihan, then turned back and continued, you are very lucky. Although I looked carefully, I still only found 40 zombies, and I didn't find any strengthened zombies. Then let's do it. These zombies are prepared for you. I will treat you the same way you treat my brothers. Let me see if you have the courage to deal with zombies as you do with your own kind. As soon as the voice fell, Wang Feng's body moved. Tian Kai swung and cut the rope that bound the zombie's claws. Every time he cut the rope of a zombie, the warrior behind the zombie would kick the zombie to the center of the field. In less than a minute, All 40 zombies were kicked into the circle surrounded by the guards. Afterwards, these 20 warriors also joined the circle, and together with the original more than 70 guards, the circle was expanded a little, and then they waited there. Whether it was zombies or people in the circle, as long as they approached them, they would be kicked back by them. The zombies that were released from their confinement were naturally very excited to see strangers. They roared and rushed towards the survivors in the circle, and those with broken legs unfortunately became their first target. Because the zombies were all brought to Wang Feng, and Wang Feng happened to be the closest to the captives with broken legs, especially their broken legs were still bleeding at this time, and the smell alone could attract all the zombies to pounce on them. When these people saw the zombies pounce on them, they all cried and crawled back, and at the same time they were asking for help from their previous companions, but those people were already scared to death when they saw the zombies, and they wanted to stay as far away as possible, and no one ran up to help them. These people were soon regarded as food for the dinner by the 40 zombies. Their shrill screams seemed to come from hell, which made people shudder. The guards were fine, watching as if nothing had happened, and the expression of Shalumi Sanxiao did not change at all. But the survivors of Green Island were not so good. Children and women covered their ears and closed their eyes, not daring to look at this purgatory-like scene again. Chen Tianhao was not moved, but a trace of pity flashed in his eyes. Although these people killed Zhao Taihan, if Chen Tianhao was to deal with them, he would not let them go, but Chen Tianhao would only kill them one by one, and would never let them be bitten to death by zombies like this. Wang Feng calmly watched a person's face being torn off by zombies. His head had almost become a skull. One eyeball was out of the eye socket and drooped on his face. 2 rows of teeth knocked against each other, and his tongue could be seen directly through his teeth. But he was not dead yet, and he was still calling for help, but because he only had 2 rows of teeth and a tongue, the airflow rushed out of his throat and could only make a sound similar to la la la, which sounded extremely weird. Seeing this guy, even some of the guards couldn't help themselves, and the muscles on their faces twitched a little, but they didn't leave their posts. Chen Tianhao couldn't help himself, and he wanted to speak when he looked at Wang Feng. He wanted Wang Feng to kill these people directly. After all, they were his own kind, and Chen Tianhao felt a little uncomfortable in his heart to just throw them to the zombies, but before he said anything, Wang Feng had already laughed. Ha ha! It seems that they are not as brave as I thought. When the tough guys were surrounded by zombies, I saw them laughing and discussing on the side, saying that this zombie was at the wrong angle, and that zombies should be faster. I thought they could face the zombies without changing their faces. So when this situation happens to you, you will also be afraid, Wang Feng sneered said. In this case, remember in your next life that it is best not to impose on others what you do not want to encounter, otherwise, when someone treats you the same way, don't cry. Now if any of you can still comment on the zombie's actions like before, I will give him a quick death. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Chen Tianhao completely swallowed back what he was about to say. It turned out that what these guys experienced was what Taihan experienced at the time. No wonder Wang Feng did this. In Chen Tianhao's eyes, Wang Feng was not a person who took pleasure in abusing others. On the contrary, Wang Feng hated such people the most. If such people fell into his hands, it would be the most terrible, because everything he had done, Wang Feng would return to him exactly as it was, like these survivors in front of him, or those monkeys who were still hanging in the warehouse, half dead, etc., are the best examples. Soon, none of the survivors with broken legs could wail and scream anymore. 2 of them even began to crawl on the ground, crawling towards the survivors who were huddled together in fear. They had changed their camp and would never feel fear again. The survivors fled frantically, but they only dared to run inside the circle, not outside the circle, because the guards who were watching them closely would kick them once they saw them approaching. Although they would not kill them, they would kick people into the zombie pile. Some zombies would run to the edge of the circle, and those soldiers would also kick them, but they would kick them into the crowd. They should pay back what they borrowed. They should be polite. As time went by, there were fewer and fewer living people in the circle, but there were more and more zombies. It was the first time for the survivors in the Green Island camp to see so many living people being bitten to death in front of them. In particular, when more and more survivors who were bitten to death got up again and joined the zombie queue, many people finally couldn't help it. When they saw those people who were crying and begging a few minutes ago now staggering and chasing their former companions, and grabbing him and tearing his flesh with their teeth, some people couldn't help but turn around and run out of the crowd, bending down and vomiting crazily. Wang Feng looked back, glanced at the crowd, and turned back again, watching the chase in the field, but he remembered a few faces in his heart. At this time, Lu Qing had also been targeted by the zombies. He naturally knew that his words would not work on the zombies, so he turned around and ran without saying anything, but he was very smart and ran directly towards Wang Feng, shouting while running, "I want to talk to you." Bang, the guard soldier kicked him back without saying a word. "You. I want to talk to your leader." Lu Qing ran over again, and the guard soldier sneered. The leader's order was that anyone in the circle who dared to run out would be kicked back. "If you want to talk to the leader, just talk to the leader? More awesome than me." Bang, Lu Qing flew out again. The guard soldier didn't control the strength well just now. Because Lu Qing was thin, he was afraid that he would be killed with one kick, so he used less strength. Seeing that he would come again this time, he immediately used all his strength to kick directly. This time, the strength was a bit too much. Originally, he wanted to kick in front of the two zombies, but Lu Qing flew over and knocked the two zombies to the ground. Lu Qing subconsciously propped himself up and wanted to get up, but he didn't expect that his hand would directly support the zombie's mouth. "Ah!" Lu Qing raised his head and screamed, and then, one zombie after another staggered over and drowned him. The first zombie who came over had a head of yellow hair.